Okay, so topic 3 is about the slope formula, and specifically finding the slope when you're just given the points. So we're going to start with something familiar, which is a graph. It says, what is the rise from point A to point B? So again, I draw my triangle like we've been doing in class. My rise here would be 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is what is my run. So I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it would be the slope of the line, 4/6, or in other words, 2/3. Okay? But then it says, explain how you could have found the rise by using only the y coordinates of the 2 points without seeing the graph. So if I look at my points over here, the y coordinates are the 3 and the 7, right? 3 and 7. And I know that my rise was 4. Well, how can I use 3 and 7 to get a rise of 4? I subtract, right? 7 minus 3 is 4. Question 5, same thing. Explain how you could have found the run by using only the x coordinates. Well, my x coordinates are 8 and 2. So again, 8 minus 2 would give me that 6. Okay? So in this box, it says given 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2, find the slope m. The slope formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, remember m stands for slope. These little subscripts, the 2's and the 1's, those just tell you which point you're referring to. Okay, so notice the first point has 1's on it, and the second point has 2's on it. Okay, so as long as you keep those straight, this formula should work every time. So let's just practice. We've got the point 2, 3 and 9, 7. I'm going to go ahead and label this. This first point will be x1, y1, and the second point will be x2, y2. So I'm going to do 7 minus 3. Actually, sorry, too fast. Let me slow down here. Let me write my formula first. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to plug in my numbers here. So y2 would be the 7 minus 3 over x2 would be 9 minus x1 would be 2. So I'm going to just work out the top, work out the bottom, and I should have my slope. 7 minus 3 is 4. 9 minus 2 is 7. So my slope would be 4/7. That's your answer. Literally all it is. So let's try again over here on number 2. Again, this would be x1, y1. This would be x2, y2. So I've got -1 minus a -4. That's going to be my y2 minus my y1. Notice when I said minus a negative, it turned into a plus sign. And then we've got x2 minus x1. So 5 1/4 minus a negative, so it became a plus, 3 1/2. The top, pretty easy. -1 plus 4 is just 3. Down here on the bottom, 5 1/4 plus 3 1/2. You can type that in your calculator if you want to. You can just kind of use your fraction knowledge, but this will be 8 3/4. Now, we do have to use our calculator to turn that into a better looking fraction. A fraction inside of a fraction is really not what we want to use. So I'm typing this into my calculator. And I get a weird decimal that's like 0.342 blah, 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 blah. But I'm going to press that SD key, and it tells me that it's really 12/35. Okay? Now number 3, this one, you'll notice that there's 3 points given to us. When that happens, it really doesn't matter as long as you choose 2 and you're consistent on which 2 you use. It doesn't matter whether or not you're given 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points. Okay, it's kind of like on a graph up here. We might have had another perfect point over here, another perfect point over here. It doesn't matter as long as you are choosing 2 of them. So on number 3, let's say I'm just going to focus on these first 2. Okay, it really doesn't matter though. And I'm going to call this one x1, y1, and this one x2, y2. So I'm going to try -2 minus 8 over -6 minus 10. So I get -10 over -16. So simplified, remember a negative over a negative is positive. So simplified, that gives me 5/8. Okay, let me just try these last 2 just to show you. I've already labeled that one as x2, y2, so I'm just going to switch this to be x1, y1. It doesn't really matter. So I've got -7 minus a -2 over -14 minus a -6. -7 plus 2 is 5. -14 plus 6 is 8. You'll notice I got the same thing. So it doesn't matter as long as those are all really points on a line. Okay? If you feel like you're getting this, feel free to pause at any point and try them out, and you can check back in the video and see how you're doing. So number 4, same thing. I'm going to label my points just to ensure I do this correctly. I've got -1 minus 4 over -5 minus a -5. Well, this time, I got a 0 on the bottom. Remember, that's a no situation. You can't have a 0 on the bottom, so that means my slope here is undefined, which makes sense. If I were to graph these points really fast, -5, 4, and -5, -1, those would be on a vertical line, a vux, if you will. So the u means it would be undefined. Okay, number 5, x1, y1, and x2, y2. 0 minus 5.8 over 0 minus a -4.2. So I've got -5.8 over +4.2. I'm going to divide in my calculator, and I get -1.3 blah, 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 blah. Press that SD key, and it tells me it's really -29 over 21. Okay? Last one on this page. 3 minus 3 over 8 minus -2. 0 on top, that's okay. So my answer here is 0, which again, if I were to graph this, -2, 3, and 8, 3, it's going to be a horizontal line, ahoy, and the 0, or the O in hoy tells you the slope is 0. Okay? So that's just a quick rundown of the slope formula. Again, it's right here. This is on your formula charts that you'll get to use on STAR and in my class. So if you ever forget it, it'll be there for you. It's actually not too hard to remember though, so I think you should be fine. The next page I will continue in the next video.